Town of East Troy, July 11th, 2022, at 6:34 p.m. Roll call, Barkowski here.
Wales here.
Woodford here.
Reagan, Church here.
Okay, pledge of allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emerald, our postings in order for tonight's meeting.
Yes, they are.
Need approval of the agenda. I can't add anything, but it could be something we do for a good reason. Or a motion.
I move we approve the agenda for July 11th as presented.
Second. Any discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, we have a lot of meeting minutes. And I didn't really find, well, all 20 pages, I did not find anything that I'm gonna correct here. But, let's take them one at a time here. We had a board review meeting on May 9th, we're just a meeting to adjourn to a later date of June 9th, so, no changes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the Town of East Troy Board of Review, May 9th, as presented.
Aye.
Jeff, second. Okay, any discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. And we have like a 5-pager here for our regular board meeting of June 13th. We'll check again, I did not find anything, you have a comment?
Yeah, I have. On page 2, under police report, about the 246 bullet down, boat launch attendants, working and keeping, I think that was supposed to be things and not that. Running smoothly. That was my only correction.
Okay. Anyone else? June 13th, regular board meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the official Town of East Troy board meeting minutes for Monday, June 13th, 2022, with one change.
Second.
Chad, second. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, we have 2 special board meetings, a June 8th and a June 27th,
And June 30th.
and a June 30th. I had no marks on any of these. Anything for you?
Yeah. On the special town board meeting for the Town of East Troy for Monday, June 27th, in paragraph 8, I believe highlighted doesn't need a hyphen. It should just be a compound word. That's the only change that I had for those
That's
2
really good.
sections.
Anything else, anything on those 3? 2 special meetings, we don't have any meetings, we just never stop, actually. Bill, Chad, nothing on those 3? Okay, motion,
I move that we accept the special town board meeting minutes for Monday, June 8th, Monday, June 27th, and Thursday, June 30th, with one amendment.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion, and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion carries. Okay, I believe that's all of them.
We're working on it.
All right,
Great, thank you.
treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report for June 2022. Total receipts for June were $51,850.76. Transfers for June were $807,092. Interest earned was $127.65. Balance as of May 31st was $17,103.82. Total funds for June were $876,174.23. Checks paid in June, $870,400 $1,000,000.87, leaving a balance of $5,690.36. Vote funds to date, $28,995.99. However, we've been a little busy, so that does not include the 4th of July weekend yet.
$11.90.
Yeah, that's.
I'll make a motion to approve the, monthly budget for the town of East Troy for the treasurer's report for June 27th through July 11th, 2022.
Second?
Michelle, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. All right, report of committees, my report, meeting report. I attended the county zoning meeting with the hotel on 6/16. And several of the board members were at a tri-county meeting of the Wisconsin Towns Association on the 23rd. And then as you see on the other meeting minutes, we had 4 other board meetings since the last meeting. So that's all there. Okay, Department of Public Works, Todd?
I got 2 quick things. Thursday, I'm gonna finally get the quote, and then meeting with the guy for fixing the putting the bridge and culvert, whatever you wanna call it, on Buell Heights Road, finally. Let me get back to me, and I got our seal coating bid to finish up our summer road work at $22,645 from, Scott Construction.
And that's old roads budget?
Yep.
And no issue with the old roads budget at this time?
No.
And we're under 25,000, so.
And they're the only company that.
Yeah.
It's our seal coating. I mean, if anybody wants to take a real good look, drive down St. Peter's Road, you can tell the difference between 2 different companies. From Seminary Road to like Thomas Drive, that was done in the same year, and look at our section, and look at the village's section, 2 different companies, same material. Theirs is all completely gone.
Scott Construction is what did ours.
Yes.
The last go around.
They use it's a coal slag, it's actually from, doing castings and everything, it's a recycled product, so.
Okay,
They've done our stuff for years.
Yeah.
all right, we should do, the appropriate to have a motion to approve that, so Todd can go forward with that. And get the number written down. Everything like that in the file. That was in our mailbox in the last week. Let's make a motion, Joe.
Motion to approve Scott Construction invoice for chip seal surfacing in the amount of $22,645.
I'll second.
Chad, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Anything else, Todd?
No.
Okay. Oh, that road damage out on Bell School, is that in the process of getting fixed?
Yeah, I haven't gotten a bid for repair of that. I'll stand up for this one, cause it's actually kind of a big thing. We had, on our summer road project, it would be the south end of Bell School done, from Highway 20 to the town limits, which is basically Honey Creek Road. There's a gentleman down there getting a big, huge pond that's been in the works for better than a year. They moved some equipment out and damaged our brand new road. And it's a fight with them, cause they said, yes, we gave them the approval to pull it out there. Any road damage, it's still on them. New road, old road, if they would've done any kind of damage. Now it's just a fight with them. I talked to our original company that did it, Star Construction, to Scott Nielsen. He was guessing somewhere in the neighborhood between $7,500 and $9,000 to fix it. But I haven't got anything in writing yet. But it's, the company that did the damage was Custom Grading, and they're putting up a pretty good fight that they don't wanna try and repair it, because we gave them permission.
Good. Well, statutory part of it, that's where Jim will get in, so keep working at that, and, you don't have any resolution, let's put on the August agenda to authorize Jim to write the nasty letter, because by law, if they damage the road, you gotta fix it. I don't think there's any black and white, or gray in it, there isn't any. Alright, that it then, Todd?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, police report, John, anyone? He's on call? Okay, we'll defer that until he comes back. If he comes back, we all did get a report. We did, talk to, one of the full-time candidates that he's trying to get on board, we have to hire. Okay, so we do have though in our handout, one of the issues, the list of police department, John Russell Pier permit. Russell's here at all? You're right there, okay. John did, review it and recommended denial of it, but I'd like to have him here, to speak to that. We did get, a letter, it's also in your handout, from the neighbors to that'd be north, correct?
Yeah.
The Hosfields, and they asked to read it into record, they couldn't get to this meeting. I'll read it, it's dated June 30th to the town board. We respectfully ask that the Russells at the north, or end 9150 Humphrey Lane be required to submit a plan for their new piers that complies with the East Troy Municipal Code Title 16, Chapter 16.10, requiring a 12-foot setback from the riparian line drawn at 21 degrees angle southeast from our shared property line. For your convenience, we have attached a drawing for our respective shoreline and riparian lines for origins. I did discuss this, yes. Oh, okay. Did you catch, I read the letter from the Hosfields, and you reviewed, that application?
I did, I looked at it with you, and they're not meeting the 12-foot setback rule with the, I'm gonna screw that word up for coterminous?
Coterminous.
Coterminous line. So based off that is why I'm requesting that it be denied. I know he had tried to work out with the neighbors, but, they're not on board with it, and it has to be within our ordinance, we can't supersede that, or, he's still within that 12-foot setback, and that's still violating our ordinance. And they were trying to have a number of discussions with them.
Okay. All right, since the hospital, or, Russells are here, if it's here at the board, we can let them speak, this is not public comment right now.
Does this go to planning?
No,
Does it appear it's not?
no, it goes to the police chief, and then approval by the board. Okay, question was, is Russells are here, you okay letting them, say their piece before we vote on this? Come on up.
Thank you. I'm John Russell, we live at 10150. I mean, I wrote the ordinance and it talks about a 12-foot setback from the riparian line. And I recognize that the neighbor is suggesting that I use the coterminous line. However, I talked to my surveyor, I hired Mike Greason to come out and look at the property. And I also called my attorney, and they said that my frontage is fairly consistently square to my property lines. And they said it's always just an extension of the property line, 12 feet from the extension of the property line. And I have some sketches here I can show you if you'd like to see them. And the neighbor is suggesting that the line be cocked 20 degrees, and I'd be 12 feet from a line that's
Yes.
12 degrees
Okay.
off.
Okay, a couple things on that. First of all, if the pier you had in place was not moved, it was in the same place it was, when you bought the property, okay, that, in effect, is called a legal grandfathering deal, because if it was in place back, what was the year again, Jim?
2012.
2015?
April
2012. And at that time, the deal was, Governor Walker, and there was a year time, and then it got extended to a year and a half, where people were allowed to, if they didn't have a pier permit, to go register their pier with the town, still couldn't interfere with the neighbor's riparian zone. And if it was in place at that time, you got a permit, it was considered a legal pier, okay? The pier that you have now in place is not.
Right, I moved it and I modified it, yeah.
Yeah, so then you need a new pier,
Right.
new pier permit, and that's why you gotta apply to the town.
Right.
Okay, now, the extension of that lot line, that's incorrect, it has to be coterminous, period, okay? We quote the same law from the DNR that's in our ordinance that says a regular shoreline, and you could say it's roughly square on your lot.
Yeah.
But you have to consider both lots, and, with your neighbors to the north, it definitely, it jots out there.
Yeah.
So you draw a cord from where the property lines hit the high water mark, both properties, full property, not half your property, your whole property, and the hospital's full property, and you bisect that angle, that's the coterminous.
I understand,
And that, since it's a new one, that's where the 12-foot offset comes into play.
got
And so I did review this with John, we've had several of these here in the past, so nobody's blown any smoke here.
Yeah.
So that's the deal.
well, it's my understanding that, the neighbors filed this complaint, that's what it's called. And I did an open records request and determined that they don't have a permit for their pier either, and they violate the ordinance. So I don't understand why I'm here being held to a standard higher than they are.
Okay. As far as them having a pier permit or not, that's really irrelevant for the pier.
Right.
Okay, and Jim will pipe in here if he sees that, but there's nothing, we're not going looking for issues.
Right.
The determination and the agreement he had for his pier there was with his neighbor to the north, okay? But what he's got for a pier permit or doesn't, it doesn't change the situation here, so.
But am I within my rights to file a complaint against them for not having a pier permit?
You can certainly do that, we just give it to our attorney, and he'd look at it, I don't know how that affects the situation. That's the answer.
Based off what we pulled from our clerk, I believe they were considered to be grandfathered in from their last permit, so.
But they have a permit from 2005 that was for a wooden pier that was replaced in 2018 by a much larger pier. It's longer, wider, and closer to the property lines.
Okay, so you're proposing this to basically start a back and forth. You're gonna say who started, okay.
They started.
I'll retract that.
I didn't
It's
start.
sounding like it's gonna go on
Well,
beyond what the issue is.
Right, because I didn't start, I was willing to move it, and they thought this was the best course of action.
Okay.
Well, the board should also know that neighbors can file their own civil suit on these pier issues. The town doesn't have to be involved at all.
I was hoping after discussing, I think I talked to you, and I
Yeah.
talked to him,
Yeah.
that you two would kind of work this
Yeah,
out.
that's, I attempted to try to, they said they didn't, they said I had to deal with the town, they didn't even wanna talk.
Because you got plenty of room, obviously,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if that's part of his issue or not, but, if you wanna hand something out, we can take here,
Yeah.
except for the record.
Do you have a pier that we don't see on this picture?
You would be into that 12-foot offset.
The existing seat?
So this is, it's a little, this is what the dotted is what my pier, was, and this, I'm proposing to move 12 feet. But this is their pier, which is, it's actually within the neighborhood. It's not even. I thought I could do
This is his
This is his, this is the 12-foot offset. can you get your pier into the comply with it?
Yes,
You can, but you don't want to.
I prefer, we'll work it out with here's their core, line right there. Their pier is active, so the dotted line is the pier they have a permit for. It's about five. And then the other is just and they're actually is now right there.
Apparently, they come to an agreement now.
Yeah, but then why won't they be willing to come to an agreement with her?
That's what we got.
I mean, you do also have that work, you can just do this like you're trying
The DNR made them.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, nice. I can't be in that right here. That's my experience.
It's good they did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta follow all the rules and ordinances to the T, so I make sure.
Alright, so I do your point.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
We have a review.
I'm not gonna bring it up either, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
And tell the new police chief.
My own review. The guy from Sharon, the guy from Wawa, they're okay. It's the two from Wawa.
Everything we have to provide, we wouldn't have our attorney like this until.
I wasn't sure what it was.
I'm gonna ask for other stuff. That's what I think.
I could ask Bob Miller, you know, him, he could deviate it.
But I didn't wanna put them out. What would you suggest?
I would say, Bob, because
Eventually he has. Okay, that's great. That's a great suggestion. Yeah, well, why don't we just take them? I got three of them, take them.
Okay, so we got, three at Northfield.
Yeah, so here's just one thing. I put on my So this is your one for the hospital, for a wood repeater. This is what they have. So this was after.
I'm just checking.
I read the full ordinance, it says it's a large, or interfering with anybody's riparian or something, so there's two reasons why it's not granted.
I get it.
And then
No, he called and he said, read the letter.
okay, thank you for your advice.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, here's a third one.
yes. Okay, no discussion. There's additional information that was brought here, okay, but, you know, the police chief, our police chief, he has to review it against the existing ordinance, he did, does not comply with that. The landowner that's got the pier in question, basically is filing a complaint to the neighbor to the north saying, well, his pier is not legal either, okay? Don't know if that ever comes into account here, okay? So we got two options here, one, you can deny it based on the chief's, recommendation, which is correct and legal, because it does not comply with our ordinance. Or two, we could table it for a month in order to have us to look at this a little more and give the two property owners a chance within the next month to meet to see if they can work this out. So that's our two options here, what do you think? What do you prefer?
And the homeowner is was willing to schedule something with the neighbor to try and work it out, he said, when he was
I'll
up
try to get Bob Miller to mediate that. If he can't, I will. The board lets me, but I don't know, I really wanna get involved in those, because the last one, I got involved with, they spent $400 on it. Okay, over 3 years. And,
I will say this, not to interrupt, that the neighbor did indicate, and it's on the email, that they were concerned about Mr. Russell coming back over there, alleged some harassment, so I don't want this to be a full-blown neighbor issue. They apparently tried before, and they had made the harassment complaint against Mr. Russell. So I don't know if him approaching back over there, when I know that, the Sensitive Police Department is the best option. We need some either denial now or a third party from the outside, which I tried, but they just want that, they want the pier removed. I don't have the authority to do that.
yeah, we could order that, but again, there's extenuating circumstances here. However, the pier itself violates the code. That's clear. Okay, it does. Giving the neighbors a chance to work it out, the only way I think that happening, which if I can talk them into it, would be to have Bob Miller, who is the next neighbor to the south, your neighbor, right, to mediate that, a meeting, to have that discussion, okay? John, you could be there if we.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have him approach neighbors on his own after what was alleged to me. And, I mean, I'll just be careful, I don't want more allegations, so I think that would be fine. Okay, just try to coordinate that.
Okay, all right, so what's your preference, board? Table it or deny it now with possible revisiting after the meeting? I would say maybe we should wait until we see if something can come out of that. And
I think if they're willing to try and work it out.
Agreed, and I think bringing Mr. Miller in, who's another neighbor, to help mediate with our police chief, that would help maybe calm the waters.
Yeah, I think with those two gentlemen there, I think it would be civil, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this all comes down to the neighbor deal, okay? And the reason why I think Bob is the ideal person for that, he had a famous quote that I still use. As a matter of fact, he said it probably 20 times while he was on the board. He says, you got to get along with your neighbor. And a lot of the stuff that we deal with here is just that, it's neighbors and the things, that they do. And, you know, you have to respect your neighbors because otherwise you have that conflict, so you think, table it to next month, that'd be a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we table the John Russell Pier permit at North 9150 Humphrey Lane to have it mediated with Bob Miller and Chief Jagelski. August.
All right, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Michelle, second?
So is there a pier currently in the riparian rights area? Actually, is there a pier in the water now?
Yes.
Yes. And according to the current ordinance, it is violating that 12 foot. And I don't know, would it have violated it if not for the 12 foot, by the way?
If I may, I moved my boat hoist.
Over
So
the other side.
yeah, over to the other side, so if it's violating it, it's violating it by a very small distance.
So that's that large platform that's on that one side, used to be the boat?
Used to be my ski boat,
Okay.
yeah. So I tried to diffuse the situation by doing
Okay.
that.
All right.
Did you put it, do we say 60 days on that to get it to the end of the summer?
Well, yeah, I mean, the chances of it being useful by the time we have a solid answer, I mean, we could just say move it now, but that would be, I think, a little harsh. We're trying to say, we're trying to get some cooperation, okay, with everybody. If we table it to the next month, August, we certainly in August could say, move it out. But then again, by that time, you may have more information, and I'm gonna talk to the surveyor too, by the way, and, by the way, it does have to be coterminous.
Yeah, okay.
There's no question on that. And unfortunately, with the 12 foot is only due to the fact that this is a new application, you know. If it was, clear of that coterminous line even by a couple inches and it was in place that way, 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been an issue, but.
I changed it.
Okay,
I think Bill's suggestion was changing it, giving him 60 days.
instead of August, September.
September.
Okay,
So it's the season.
it basically would be the season, and then we have all winter in this wrestle with it. Okay, you wanna amend, well, you'd have to amend your motion.
This is under discussion, because just put a time, I would great to bring it back here.
How does the board feel? I mean, I don't wanna amend it if there's only one today.
Well, we'll vote on it, I think it's probably a great thing, it probably won't make the hospital real happy, but then again, there are some extenuating circumstances here, so.
I'll amend my motion to revisit this in September.
Okay, so we need a second on the amended motion. Bill, second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, I'll be in touch too,
Thank you.
come on.
Thank you.